Actually, a very interesting conversation I had towards the very end of my New Haven seminar last summer, which was about graphic novels. I had chosen to teach a couple of graphic novels in that course, and the teacher's response, it was fascinating. It was basically bifurcated. There were the teachers who said, oh yes, graphic novels are the only things we can get students to read these days, and that's great because they're reading. And then there were teachers who said, but that's terrible. They're just looking at images. There's barely any text there. And I realized a lot of the debate we had was about kind of how do you transpose the kinds of literacy students often much more intuitively develop in relation to graphic novels into kind of more traditional forms of critical thinking? Or how do we use as teachers the fact that students love graphic novels to get them to think in more complicated ways about literature, about science, about history, philosophy? And luckily, we live in a time when there are a lot of very good graphic novels on all these subjects. And one aim of the class would be to just introduce the fellows to a panoply of graphic novels that you can use to teach young children about the anatomy of the human body, or slightly older children about like early philosophy and philosophical ideas. On the other hand, we would also spend a lot of time thinking about the form of the graphic novel, about the right kind of language you can use to study it both as a literate form and as an art form, to give students the kinds of critical skills that we also want them to then develop in reading, say, poems, novels, short stories, and to show them the complexity of these works that often they approach to begin with because they seem simpler or more approachable. And again, both of these would feature texts from all around the world to the best of my ability, and hopefully texts that would be accessible and teachable to students, as well as secondary sources that would allow the fellows to contextualize them for their own teaching. So those are my ideas. I'm looking forward to hearing your responses.